So in this video clip, we're going to take a look at some Python code for graphing Black-Scholes Greeks. And the Black-Scholes Greeks capture parameter sensitivity. So as we change different underlying parameters, we're trying to investigate the value as predicted by the Black-Scholes model on the value of the option. Before we did something like that using the library, the deriv markets package developed by Professor MacDonald, and I have again some links here that you can follow to get to that package. Again, what we would like to do is replicate the value of the varying Greeks. So fundamentally, delta, gamma, vega, theta, rho. We're considering the underlying asset price, and we're going to take the exercise as being 100 and the stock price starting out at 100, or the asset price starting out at 100. We're not going to look at elasticity and psi. Okay, it's not a big deal, but those obviously could be added on. And to do this, I took code from Clint Hauer's GitHub. So we might just take a look here at that and go in. And this is a GitHub, and this is a really magnificent exercise that Clint put together not too long ago. And he sets out not just in the original exercise Black-Scholes model, but also binary options. He does graphing that I looked at before for the intrinsic valuation of the option. Here we've binary, with a binary called blue and the binary put, and then long short positions, and I think we have a straddle, short positions, and then he sets out some trading strategies, and also which again in their own right are very interesting. Takes the Black-Scholes model and then populates it with Greeks and some additional Greeks also, right? Black-Scholes parabola for call and put, and then we come down, and for varying exercise prices, and it's very neat the way he's done this, but for varying exercise prices, he's looked at the delta, the gamma, vega, theta, and rho plus charm, right? And he also creates a surface, which again is just really, really attractive. So it's this GitHub is one that I strongly recommend that you take a look at. But in our case, I have tried to follow what Clint has done, and then I've adopted it slightly to include, I think in Clint's work, he didn't include in dividend yield. And that's something that I just include in. So that's a small change, but it means that our model then is robust for dividend yields, or if it was a currency option and you had some interest in the foreign currency, you would be able to estimate by using Q. So Q is something that is important. It also means that we can investigate a little bit it allows the possibility that the value of the call can exercise early if we had American options. So Q is something that maybe not as important for European options, but for American options is something that we include. Now, also, it's a little bit tough to copy and paste in the code as I put in, and in the Python notebooks, sometimes it just makes more sense to run sections as opposed to do everything in one fell swoop. So to deal with that, I've adopted a bit Clint's code. Then I set it up in the Google Colab. The Colab is quite a nice way to leave an embedded Python notebook in the, in this case, the Vinegar Hill portal. And we can go in and just run each snippet of code. Now in this instance, you will get that looking for clarification, but we'll run and run. So basically what we have here is the same as Clint's work, but we've included in dividend yield. So we're estimating the vega, the rho, the theta, the gamma, and the call and put, and including dividend yield. And we've run that, so we just execute quite fast, and then we've taken these parameter values because we're using these all the way through as much as possible, and we're going to estimate the annual theta and the daily theta. Again, it's we could divide this by 252 arguably, right? I'm dividing by 365. So I think I'm following a line with Professor MacDonald. So we get a set of values here. I've checked these. They look to be consistent with this other values we've obtained for the gamma, vega, theta, and rho. I run again for the put option, and we get a set of output then, 557. And again, I've checked through delta, gamma, vega, theta, and rho. Both of these are negative, and this is much smaller because it's daily as opposed to annual. And then we have rho, which is the interest rate sensitivity. And then we run S. So we say, okay, let's calculate S where we go up to 200, right? So we're going to consider values of S from 0 to 200. And we both for the call and the put, and then the values that we generate here, you can see this is the Black-Scholes call, this is the Black-Scholes put. If I change this to 0.5, that's the dividend yield, right? So the fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, put in 5, then we will get the same value for the call and the put, right? In other words, if the exercise is equal to, so at 100, if the exercise, if the stock price is equal to the exercise in both cases, and R is equal to Q, then we'll get the same value for the call and put, and we can see that here, right? Now, okay, I'll just change back. If we change Q back to 0 and run these again, they won't coincide over the exercise. Again, this is the Black-Scholes parabola, call parabola, Black-Scholes put parabola. Let's run our values again. Now, in the original values that were selected by Clint, he was using different exercise prices, the exercise being 90, 100, 110. I'm going to just keep it at 100 for the moment here. So what we're doing is we're saying the value of the exercise runs, so the second variable here is the exercise, and we're allowing it to take on the value before Clint used 90, 100, 110. I'm going to leave as is, but I like this versatility because it means we can substitute I into any of the other parameters and consider the sensitivity. So we could alter, for instance, by doing the same, alter the different volatility, different time periods. And we've included in here a specification for lowercase t, which is time decay, how much time has passed since the options written. So let's just run that, see what we get, right? And it should produce values for delta, gamma, vega, theta, and rho. And we are getting, if you like, this is the delta for the call option, and then we have the delta for the put. And the gamma and for the put and the call are always the same. The vega for the put and call are the same. We have values for the rho, and we have theta, and this is theta for the call option, theta for the call. Now, if we, and again, this is where Q is probably important. If we make Q equal to 5%, make it positive, the theta does not have to be always negative for the call option. Let's consider it should have a positive region. So that'll, by making that relatively minor change in terms of the dividend specification, when we run this, that will alter our graphs a bit, right? So we get this behavior now in terms of the call option for theta, that once we have Q being non-negative, then for the call delta, you can see it becomes positive, right? So we'll just go back and change that again. If we change that back to 0, then let's run, and you'll see for the call theta, it's a completely negative set of values that we get. But when we allow Q to be 5%, then we can get a positive region, right? So to observe, you can see we have here for the call theta, we get this positive region, we go above 0. Okay, which means that as time passes, the option gets more valuable. Instead of getting our typical time decay, the effect of time decay, we're seeing that as time passes, that for deep in the money options, call options, the option can become, as time passes, the option can become more valuable, which is again a little bit not what we consider. Now in the original, again, if we go back to the original values that Clint had, we could change this to 90, sugar, let's see, 90, and this to 110. That means we're allowing for 3 different strike prices. Okay, and let's run. And then we get a much richer mosaic. So now we don't have a single delta, we have 3 deltas for the put option, 3 deltas for the call option. Gamma is the same for the call and put. Vega is the same for the call and put. Rho is different, but we can see some of the dynamics here and some interesting behavior here on Theta as well. Okay, so what I like here is we can easily, once we take the template that has been developed by Clint Howard, it's easy to amend it. It was straightforward to include in dividends, and we can play around with this code, and we can add in varying effects, including, if we go back to the vals here, we could in fact run the same loop. Instead of putting I here, we could put I into the volatility and consider different levels of volatility, or we could put I into T and consider different maturities and then observe the effect all the way through on delta, gamma, vega, theta, and rho for both the put and call options. And that's a powerful little effect. So I'll probably do a follow-up video here where I try some of that. But for the moment, this looks like a very interesting setup. It also helps a little bit when we go back and consider if we wanted to actually observe how we would do this in Excel and demonstrate the difference between analytical and numerical formulas, then we could use the Excel above here. So let's just save that.